So Charli xcx has finally released her new album, BRAT. Charli xcx doesn't really need an introduction. I mean, I think everybody has heard of Charli xcx. She had the super huge hits like Boom Clap, among other hits. But yeah, when she broke out into the music industry, she was like, what, 16, 17, making impressive, grandiose hits like that, which obviously just like changed the pop landscape around the time. And I think just Charlie in general is such like a performative uh, pop artist and just a super talented musician as well as sort of shaping the hyper pop scene uh, with the pop 2, but she dropped back in 2017, I believe. Such a revolutionary mixtape at its time, and it's still a lot of the sound still is like relevant till this day. And a lot of hyper pop artists are just hugely influenced by that record, and it really just influenced and cultivated a whole other level of just pop music that we haven't heard before. And she really just was one of the pioneers as well for this like hyper pop subgenre that merged from the PC record label, I believe, with the help of A.G. Cook, Sophie, and other talented artists from the label. Um, but yeah, just Charlie XCX has been such a great phenomenon. Uh, I haven't like been like the person who's dived in completely to discography. I've heard Pop 2 and Crash that I did put in my favorite albums of 2022 list. I did really like Crash. A lot of people didn't like Crash because it seemed like she was playing it a bit too safe. But in my opinion, I think it's fine. You know, it's a fun poppy album. Not trying to be, I guess, too artistic as her other records. I'm assuming before Crash, but again, it's just super fun, poppy album. Don't take it too seriously. She did release some singles in anticipation of this album, which I thought were pretty good. You know, I mean, it wasn't like my favorite except Club Classics, which I just cherish that song so much. It was a song that I just could not let go until this day. I still bump a lot, especially now with the album that came out. But yeah, it was a song that just blew my mind. There were so many textures and layers to it. It was a club banger. It seemed like it was made for the boiler room aesthetic, which I think coincidentally she did go to the boiler room recently a couple months ago to perform and sort of do her little set, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it was definitely just made for that environment, of a club environment, boiler room environment, where you're just like dancing to the vibes, not thinking too much of the lyrics, just having a good time. And she did release other singles aside of Club Classics. I think the first single for this rollout was Von Dutch, which I wasn't blown away by it. It had a nice chorus, nice sort of structure, but it wasn't like something that just sticked with me until I came here and listened to this album, and it just glued to me like that. It was just so intoxicating when you hear it in the context of the record. There's also B2B, which is back to back, which released with Club Classics, which I did like, but just didn't stick with me as much as Club Classics. And almost the same as Von Dutch, and even their song 360, which is also another single. Once I heard this record, everything just clicked. It was like, whoa, like I was tripping. These songs are incredible. When you listen to Bratz, it's like all the singles that you just were not a huge fan of are gonna like hit you like this. They're gonna click with you like this, and it was something so surprising when I heard the record, because Brat is such a phenomenal, like fast paced ear candy type of record, where it's just like so many things are going on at once, but it's like you're just like not even thinking too much of it, and you're just vibing throughout the entire record. This album does not play it as safe as Crash. Crash had a more safe production. It's much more friendlier. It's much more accessible. Nothing wrong with that. Of course, I enjoyed the record. But this one just like, it's experimental. It's experimental pop / dance. It seems like it's just Charlie back in her like natural habitat in a way, when she did the record of Pop 2, the Pop 2 mixtape with A.G. Cook and a bunch of other, and Sophie and a bunch of other other producers and artists. And A.G. Cook is credited in a bunch of the tracks in here, which does make sense because, again, the production is experimental, very in your face, very fast paced, and just like, what the hell am I listening to? I really have to give Charlie a lot of credit because, sure, I mean, Charlie is not like the most like Shakespearean. She's not like this like a super sophisticated artist when it comes to like with the pen and the lyrics and stuff like that. It's really just catchy music to get you going. But I think that with this album, like there are some very personal and deep moments. I think with the track I think So I, So Do I, which obviously is sort of a callback to Sophie, which is It's Okay to Cry. And it is a sort of a love letter to Sophie for having her produce songs with her, being good friends with her, and just being, I guess, more of a just a close, it's not of a close friend, a close like musician friend, and a close like almost like colleague of hers. And she's almost like paying her respects to her in this song. It's a very vulnerable and emotional track, and I kind of like got it like instantly when I heard the "It's Okay to Cry" reference. But just so many details to around here, and it's such a sad song. Just her reliving it in this song, I was assuming it's harder to even like convey it, of course. But I like that she's kind of keeping her head high in this song. You know, like So I Cry, so I released this, and I'm almost releasing this album, releasing this song as a sort of way to like celebrate you and your existence. And I do know that Sophie, this Sophie's death, obviously it hurt a lot of people, a lot of her friends. It hit deep for me because she was such a talented producer at the time, and still is. Obviously, a lot of her beats are just timeless, of her music as well. Um, but yeah, there's some vulnerable moments, as I said. There's also another track in here, which, damn it, I forgot the name of the track, which is a lot more, I guess, of her reminiscing. It's like it's a penultimate track of the album, where it's her sort of like saying, I'm almost thinking about adulthood. I think about sometimes of like starting a family, maybe getting a bit more serious in my relationships, maybe finding the person to share my life with. But I feel that liberty of mine will be stripped away, and I'm scared of that liberty being stripped away. And I feel that analyzation is such a mature perspective from Charli. It's almost as hard just looking at her from a lens and just saying, it's fun being a superstar and a pop star, but I feel like I need to sort of like grow. I feel like this need to, I guess, cherish something in someone and create something aside of the music that I know that I'm making that I'm happy with. It asks that question of, should I give up my liberty that I have to sort of start a new life, or should I keep it? But I just want to, I guess, evolve. I want to be even happier than what I am, even bigger than what I am right now, which is a curious question that she asked in that song, which I really enjoyed and admired. And tracks like Rewind that is a club banger in a way. It still has it still has Charli kind of examining her career and say, I kind of miss at the time where I had these Billboard hits and that was massive. I wish you kind of go back in time and relive those experiences and moments. Some of the best moments, I'm assuming, of her career. Sort of like more of a reminiscing type of song. But it's still like kind of ironic because this song just has a great pacing overall, and it's like I just wish I can go back in time with this like upbeat sort of instrumental, which I think is kind of like a paradox in a way. That's like these lyrics are like actually kind of deep, but it has like such a heavy beat overall that it's just kind of hard. It's kind of easy to like just not pay attention to the lyrics and just pay attention to the hook only. Track Girl Is So Confusing has one of the most infectious hooks that Charli has ever made, and probably the most infectious hook of this entire record. And it has this very like positive message. Well, it's very like interesting message of Charli, I guess, saying that it is confusing to be a girl, or I guess more relating more to the girls in her position. Just sort of like asking these questions, sort of like, I guess, going through her day-to-day life and how confusing it is and how hard it is to live in sort of a gender ruled world or something. It just has like a lot of like lines that, of course, like a lot of male listeners wouldn't relate to, but I think it has like a core like message or delivery that's obviously more towards girls and towards more women, that I kind of do support Charli with. It feels like a very personal song of her that he's obviously dedicating to her female to her female listener base. Which honestly, Charli has always been a predominant speaker for a lot of women and just a lot of girls that she talks to, regardless of age. Of course, like I think her music in general is just like a very like there's not a specific boundary. It's more like she communicates a message for almost everybody. Like she really wants to get everybody involved, but sometimes, especially this song, as I said, she really wants to speak to her female, listening base. She knows the struggles that it can be to be a woman, and topics surrounding that. The track "Sympathy Is a Knife" might have the craziest production in the entire record. It is this like dance. It's dance pop, very experimental. I think it has A.G. Cook's production in it as well. but it is like destructive club in a way, and it has like this very like old school like 2010s type of like sound thrown into it as well. It's very hard to describe most of the songs in this record because it just switches up like halfway through. You just don't even realize it until like you're just listening to the song. It's like, wait, this is the same song. Like that was like me over the entire record. It just switches up so much in a very good way, of course. But I think it's phenomenal. Just Sympathy's a Knife. Her, I'm assuming, just kind of bringing this message of her like a very like toxic relationship with someone. And there are some songs in here where she does make a callback to the toxic relationship with someone, not knowing if she should be with the person, kind of getting mixed signals, mixed messages, kind of wanting to hold to something that's precious, but at the same time it's killing her, which I'm assuming is titled "Sympathy is a Knife." But yeah, there's this track is just chaotic. It's bombastic in a way. It's really in your face. It is unapologetic, and that's the best adjective I can use to describe not only this record but just Charli's music in general. It's unapologetic. She's gonna do whatever she wants to do. She has so much free will when it comes to her record. She doesn't feel like, I guess, compressed or locked in. Lots of people criticize her for Crash being like, I guess, kind of shallow and not being the Charli that we're used to. In my opinion, she was still being herself. She just wanted to go a bit more mainstream, which is fine. But this record, I feel she just like pushed any limits there was. It's like, sure, I'll give you like some kind of mainstream friendly like hits, but at the same time, I'm just gonna be what I want to be. And this record kind of gives this radiant energy that's just amazing to listen to. The track "Mean Girls," it's just kind of like it's kind of a funny chorus. I'm gonna break your boyfriend heart, girl. You know, like that. Those lines are just like so like kind of quirky. It almost reminds like a callback of the movie Mean Girls, and it's quite literally an anthem for the Mean Girls. It's kind of funny. But just the sound in that song in general, just her delivery and how the way that she wrote and structured the song, it reminds you so much of like just the 2010s, like early 2010s hits, especially the synthesizers and the synth chords that are thrown into the mix and just the super poppy drums that are just thrown in there. It reminds me so much of like something you would hear from the 2010s, like early 2010s, like electronic pop music. And I feel that just she always loves to like kind of like draw back and take those elements from the early 2010s because she was obviously one of the pioneers of that genre. But I think in this song, it's done so tastefully and so like nostalgia type that it's just like having like in a whole other dimension of like nostalgia. The tracks talk and everything is romantic, kind of share almost a similar structure of anything. Actually, I don't know if it was like Mean Girls or Everything's Romantic, where it has this very beautiful like second half of like this piano and then evolves into more of a dance type of track more to the end. But yeah, regardless of that, I think both of these songs are absolutely incredible. They just have like this very like simple structure in terms of lyrics. These songs aren't necessarily saying anything sophisticated. They're not really trying to be sophisticated. Again, it's just Charli kind of living it in the moment. And I could definitely see these songs as being, again, just boiler room type of songs that you would dance to, club bangers that you would dance to. But they're very layered songs. Like, again, a lot of the songs in this record in general are just very layered songs that you could just dance to, really. You just don't realize it until listening to headphones where it's like, whoa, where did those synths come from? Where did those kicks come from? Everything just sounds so like hard hitting and so complex in the same way. I think the song Apple, which has this like very like strange story. She's just gonna go to the airport and just describing like the scenery and stuff like that. Despite it being like silly on paper, it's just such a fun and catchy song in general. It's fun and catchy. The way this record ends with 365 being called back to 360, which is the intro to this record. A lot of like I've heard a lot of albums kind of do that, where it's like you're calling back a specific song, the intro or something, and you sort of like remix it. Sometimes it falls flat, sometimes it's pretty good. But in this case, it's almost like a remake of the first song, but with so much texture added. Like the second half of this song is absolutely insane. There's no way to describe it. It's absolutely insane, and it is like almost like scaring the host type at some point. It's like, again, this super electronic, like some super duper electronic deconstructed industrial type of beat. That's the second half, which she goes absolutely crazy on, and she is not afraid to just do whatever she wants in the song. It's amazing because, again, just a lot of albums kind of do callbacks where it's kind of flat, just doesn't really add anything interesting. But in this case, I don't mind listening to this song. This song is very different from the beginning. and I could see like why she added that song in the outro. Because like in the first listen, I was like, you know what, you should have ended it with the penultimate song, kind of a good, farewell. But that last song was just again incredible. It's massive, it's destructive, it gets unapologetic, and it's just a perfect way to end it. It's a perfect way to end it. It's like almost a party never ends type of ending of anything. So I know that the words that you've been hearing throughout this review has been just, oh, it's addictive and this and that and this and that. But it's just the best way I could just describe this record. It's just one of those albums, again, almost like Scaring the Hose, where there's not really that much to say aside of it's addictive, it's infectious, and it is music that if you don't like overanalyze, overanalyze in type of like you're expecting like a To Pimp a Butterfly type of lyrical like thing or like a super sophisticated concept, and you just take it as it is, you will absolutely adore this record, and you'll just find the perks of it being kind of like groundbreaking in a way. And again, you'll just keep on listening to it, replaying it over and over and over until your eardrums probably don't work. But yeah, it's such an amazing album. I think BRAT might be Charli's strongest, maybe ever. I haven't heard her entire discography, but from what I've heard, I think this is like a front runner. This is like absolutely amazing. It's like, I think the only artist who could make this album is Charli. There's nobody else who can make an album like this. It's just Charli herself, and it's revolutionary in so many aspects. And it's an album that I kind of been searching for. I've been searching for, like, this is an amazing like pop album like this. And I finally came across it, and I'm so glad that Charli just executed it well. And the singles just blew and the singles were just like the appetizer for this record. It wasn't like just the entree. I wasn't like disappointed there was nothing else in this record. No, like that thing was like a tiny bit of what was to come from this record. So yeah, absolutely mind blown by this record. What they give this record? I'm thinking a pretty good 9 out of 10. This record is amazing. It's addictive, as I said a billion times throughout this record. Throughout this review. And man, just I love this album so much. It really is absolutely amazing. So yeah, what do you guys think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the notification bell on so you miss an upload from me. And yeah, love you guys, and see you next time.